Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your to-do list, like there's never enough time in the day to get everything done? What if I told you that most of what you're doing might not even matter that much? Let's dive into the Pareto Principle, also known as the 80-20 rule, based on the work of Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto. This principle has the power to completely shift how you manage your time, energy, and focus. The 80-20 rule explained. At its core, the Pareto Principle says that roughly 80% of outcomes come from 20% of efforts. Pareto originally noticed this pattern in his garden. He saw that 80% of his peas came from just 20% of the pods. But this pattern isn't just about peas. It shows up everywhere, in business, productivity, health, even relationships. In most areas of life, a small portion of your actions drives the majority of your results. For example, 80% of a company's profits often come from 20% of its customers. Or 80% of the clutter in your home might come from 20% of your stuff. Once you start looking, you'll see this imbalance everywhere. It's a powerful realization that not everything you do carries equal weight. Time management and focus. Now let's talk about how this relates to time management. Many of us are busy all day, ticking off tasks and answering emails. But being busy doesn't mean being effective. The key insight from the 80-20 rule is that not all tasks are created equal. A few key actions lead to the majority of your success. Think about your own day. What 20% of your work brings you 80% of your results? Maybe it's one big project, a few key clients, or specific habits like planning or deep work. The goal is to identify and focus on those high-impact tasks, and eliminate, delegate, or minimize the rest. This shift can be transformative. Instead of trying to do everything, you learn to prioritize what really matters. When you focus your time and energy on the 20% of activities that truly move the needle, you start seeing faster progress with less stress. That's the power of working with intention, not just effort. Productivity versus busyness. It's easy to confuse activity with productivity. We check off boxes, respond to messages, stay in motion. But what if most of that effort isn't actually contributing to your goals? The Pareto Principle reminds us to ask better questions. What's the one task today that, if completed, would make the biggest difference? What's the one area in your business or personal life where small improvements could lead to big results? This mindset helps you work smarter, not harder. It's not about doing more, it's about doing more of what matters. When you understand that 80% of your output comes from 20% of your input, you can stop chasing perfection and start chasing progress. Real-life examples. Let's look at a few real-world examples. In sales, 80% of revenue often comes from 20% of clients. In customer service, 80% of complaints usually stem from 20% of issues. In content creation, 80% of traffic might come from 20% of articles or videos. Even in your personal life, the rule applies. Which 20% of people in your life give you 80% of your joy, or your stress? Which 20% of habits give you most of your energy, focus, or health? By identifying these patterns, you can make intentional choices that lead to better outcomes. Athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, they all use the 80-20 rule, often without even realizing it. They focus on the few key things that matter most. The rest, they either let go or automate. Eliminate the noise. One of the most powerful takeaways from the Pareto Principle is this: stop trying to do it all. Most of what's on your plate isn't essential. Start asking yourself, what can I stop doing? What can I automate or delegate? Where am I spending time just to feel productive, without making real progress? It takes courage to let go of the trivial many and double down on the vital few. But that's where real growth happens. By cutting out the noise, you create space to focus deeply, and that's where the magic is. This is especially important in a world full of distractions. Notifications, emails, endless meetings, these things feel urgent, but they're rarely important. The Pareto Principle gives you permission to say no. To protect your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. Strategic laziness. There's a term some people use, strategic laziness. It doesn't mean being careless or lazy in a negative sense. It means choosing not to do the low-value tasks, so you can pour your effort into what really counts. This is the art of doing less but achieving more. It's the secret behind many successful people. They don't waste energy on things that don't matter. They're not working 100 hours a week. They're just laser-focused on the 20% that drives 80% of their results. It's not about hustling harder, it's about choosing wisely. Focus is a force multiplier. And when you combine it with clarity, the results can be exponential. Applying the principle. So, how do you apply the 80-20 rule in your daily life? Start small. Maybe it's just identifying the top 3 things that truly move the needle each day and committing to finishing those before anything else. Over time, you'll build a powerful habit of intentional action. This isn't a one-time fix. It's an ongoing mindset. Keep looking for patterns. Keep trimming the fat. Keep simplifying. The more you apply the 80-20 rule, the more powerful it becomes. The Pareto Principle is more than a rule, it's a lens. A way to see the world differently. When you stop trying to do everything and start doing the right things, life gets simpler, more focused, and far more effective. Remember, 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Find those efforts. Prioritize them. Protect them. And watch your results multiply. Because success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters most, and doing it consistently. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in another next level video.